Gran Turismo 7 is a game that I waited years and years for. Yet, until this week, I haven't played this game for just under 2 whole years. And I only played it because they finally added the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 9 to the roster. Since then, the game has evolved somewhat from its messy launch. The game was review bombed, a messy but interesting progression system, a god-awful economy that prioritised heavy grinding and greed, left GT7 as a serious stain in the eyes of the fans. I myself consider it to be a weak point. Now that Spec 2 and Spec 3 have launched, I was dragged back into it to see if anything has really changed. So in today's video, we will answer the question: has Spec 3 saved Gran Turismo 7? Here's a breakdown of what is part of the Spec 3 update in Gran Turismo 7. The vast majority of the Spec 3 content is free. This includes 2 new tracks found on the F1 calendar, such as the amazingly beautiful but amazingly shit to drive Yas Marina circuit and the much better Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We have 8 new cars added in for free. These include cars like the Ferrari 296 GTB and its GT3 variant, the all-new Polestar 5, Mitsubishi FTO, Renault Espace F1, and the best of all, the Fiat Panda. So far so good then. So good gets even better, especially when you see the new features such as the data logger, available for use in time trials, license tests and circuit experiences. Car invitations are now permanent and not expiring. The collector level cap has been raised from 50 to 75. There are also new GT Cafe menu books and weekly challenges content. All racing tyres now have a lick of Dunlop branded paint, among general UI and quality of life improvements. However, for you PS4 players like me, these next features are not available on the PlayStation 4. These include the new Power Pack DLC, the paid expansion with 50 new career events, 24-hour races, and other fun driving missions, Gran Turismo Sophie 3.0 AI, or indeed Sophie at all. The Power Pack also comes with 6 exclusively tuned cars as well, which aren't for you PS4 peasants. Now putting the features aside, let's talk about how the game feels. Yes, even on a base PS4, and 3 years on since its launch, GT7 remains one of the finest games graphically on any platform. The shading, lighting and fidelity are absolute game changers, and yet they remain unmatched. The physics too have also been a strong suit in my eyes when it comes to realism, with a hint of accessibility, meaning that any average Joe can have a good go. However, it is still far from perfect. My past GT7 experience still lies here. There is no downshift protection devices here, so you can downshift like a madman as you enter a corner, whereas in a sim like AC Evo, you will be cruelly punished for it. The cars still feel fine mostly. They sometimes understeer and feel a bit heavy, but my major drawbacks occur mid-corner, when the car feels planted one moment and suddenly it'll lose all grip and begin to snap into a slide. Another gripe of mine is related to braking. In more realistic sims such as Assetto Corsa and Automobilista 2, my Fanatec DT Pro acts in a way where you can feel the car slowing down, and you also get a feeling of what the tyres are doing too. In Gran Turismo 7, I just don't feel this, leading to a serious false sense of confidence when braking. And it's too late until you realise you're locking up or you've completely missed your braking zone. Skill issue or genuine argument here, I'll leave that up for you in the comments, and while you're there, why don't you consider subscribing. These handling issues may potentially be due to car setup, as handling adjustments and suspension tweaks did eradicate the problem in some areas, but still, to be fast and competitive, a sense of comfort and trust is needed in your car, which is where GT7 sometimes doesn't provide to me. Then there's their career mode, the GT Cafe feature, where you're given a menu and you have to complete certain races in certain cars, as well as having to purchase or obtain other vehicles to complete certain lists, was a criticised feature, as it was a step away from the classic Gran Turismo campaigns of old. Bearing in mind, this type of campaign was added to GT Sport due to high demand, and so to get rid of it again in GT7 did seem a bit bizarre. However, this may be controversial, but I actually quite like the idea, although I do believe that it would have made a better side quest, and instead they should have kept the traditional GT mode. And so I do think that the new Power Pack coming out, although I haven't tried it out, seems to be able to scratch that itch for other players, with 50 new races being added. One thing that does make me a bit sad is the lack of manufacturer events. Sure, you have your Ferrari Challenge and your GTR Cups, but do you remember in Gran Turismo 4 where you literally had hundreds of different races from almost all manufacturers, and so you had to compete in different cars to increase your garage and experience different tracks in different vehicles. So to remove this campaign, bring it back and then remove it again is definitely a bit strange, although I can see why they did it because they now get to add it back as a €30 DLC, which seems a bit steep, but hey, I've never tried it, so I don't really have much of an opinion on it. Now let's get back to the graphics and its potential consequences. On the PS4, as I said, GT7 still looks fabulous, but on the PS4, its stress is beginning to show. The frame rate at 30 FPS and low refresh rate leaves a very choppy looking view as you drive around tracks, particularly Yas Marina, which is a very hard on the eyes and frustrating as you can easily get distracted as you try to nail a certain corner. It does make sense as even GT Sport was pushing the PS4's buttons back in 2017, so by 2025 GT7 is absolutely battering my old PS4. Things only got worse though, as throughout playing GT7 I experienced countless crashes, especially after finishing races with 15 plus cars and many laps. And after checking Reddit, it appears that this is a common issue with the new update, and it has been affecting PS4 players across the globe. Hopefully this issue gets ironed out with a bug fix. Now, although I am delighted that Polyphony did make a PS4 version, I do think that a PS5 only release would have been more reasonable, as it meant that they probably would have been able to iron out any issues that the game had on day one, and they would have been able to dedicate more time to just one platform. Has a single Gran Turismo game been released on multiple platforms before? Let me know down in the comments below. So after abandoning this game nearly 2 years ago, what are my overall thoughts now? I never hated GT7, but I was quite underwhelmed by it, and I'm always happy to get playing it again, but just maybe due to other games that appeal to me more, on top of mainly myself prioritising PC over PlayStation, it is a quite warm welcome to come back and find all the new things that they've added, and it can be quite overwhelming at the start. I just need to spend a few evenings of a few weeks of my time to try catch up. However, the poor performance, especially after this update, is just pushing me further away, so it has left me in a bit of a predicament. With GTA 6 coming out sometime next year, a PlayStation 5 is in my future, and it looks like GT7 or GTA 6, at least at launch, won't be coming to PC. It may be time for me to upgrade. Although I'll really only be playing my PS5 for 2 games, I'm not entirely sure it's entirely worth the upgrade for me. Bear in mind I do make gaming videos quite a lot on this channel, it's kind of become my new thing now, so I can see where the PS5 fits. But videos related to PlayStation games will need to perform well. If this video gets over 1,000 views before December 18th, I will get a PlayStation 5. From what I've heard, that console's better performance does iron out many of the issues that I've been experiencing with GT7, but in the meantime I will play it more on my PS4 to see if it's really worth the change. If you've made the jump yourself, please let me know in the comments below and send me some recommendations or tips that you may have. So overall, GT7 still has some issues for me, and I do prefer past titles, but this game is still very solid and it's definitely worth your time in 2025 and for the near future. And hopefully in the next few days I'm going to spend more time with it. So what do you think? What's your overall opinion of Gran Turismo 7? Should I make the jump from PS4 to PS5? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, remember to like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for future uploads. And finally, thank you all so much for watching. Hope to see you all very soon.